Congressman Perry, welcome back to Washington Watch. Good to see you.
It's great to be with you, Tony. And the escalation really has been all Russia's from the start of this thing. Most recently, with introducing North Korean soldiers to the conflict. That having been said, this president, who wasn't allowed to run again by his own party. Let's face it, those are just simply the facts because of his cognitive decline. Has made the decision on behalf of the United States to essentially allow Ukraine as a proxy now of the United States to attack Russia, one of our greatest strategic foes. And I think that's dangerous. I think that's that's a questionable judgment. And I don't know exactly what to make of Putin's nuclear saber rattling, but I don't think that that's something that we want to take lightly for certain. Nuclear war is something you can barely talk about, let alone experience. It's been a long time since any of that was engaged in for good reason. And I just don't think it's anything to be trifled with. And unfortunately, the current president of the United States, his judgment is in question for sure on this decision.
Congressman Perry, the Kremlin press secretary, told reporters today that, quote, aggression against the Russian Federation by any non-nuclear state with the participation or support of a nuclear state is considered a joint attack, end quote. Now, we've heard a number of threats regarding nuclear use by the Russians. Is this different than what we've heard before?
Well, I think they're being very specific. Putin is being very specific. And essentially what he's describing is the United States of America in a joint attack with Ukraine by virtue of us being a nuclear armed power and attacking their homeland directly with munitions that we've provided, even though Ukraine has been the one to pull the trigger. The question will be, is he going to actually hold true and do something about it? But again, I don't think we want to find out the easy way about that. We don't want to find out that he's true to his word and that there are nuclear rounds impacting anywhere in the world.
Congressman, I know you're close to President-elect Trump, and I would not be surprised for him to seek your insight on this. I know he's got some good people he's tapped as he comes in with his second administration. What do you see as an off-ramp here to de-escalate the situation? Obviously, Russia started this with the invasion of Ukraine. How do we get out of this? How do we solve this or help the parties over there resolve this so that this does not grow into a bigger issue in Europe and beyond?
Yeah, I think, look, Ukraine wants their territorial integrity, and I support that. They should be a sovereign nation. That includes Crimea. Allegedly, at the beginning of this, Russia didn't want Ukraine to be a NATO nation, and I think that that's where the center of the discussion should be. And quite honestly, I don't think that Ukraine is ready to be a NATO-aligned nation. And furthermore, NATO needs to do more of its own work to shore up its own defenses as opposed to relying on the United States of America. And I'm not sure that we lose much in Ukraine not being a NATO confirmed nation. And so if we can get to a point where Ukraine can receive its territorial integrity back and there's a commitment to hold off on a NATO involved Ukraine, I think that that's a place where that will end the killing and allow Ukraine to progress and calm Russia's fears down of having a neighbor right on their border that's so adversarially opposed to them. And I think that might be the sweet spot where we can all sleep well at night if we can have that conversation.
Would that be facilitated by the United States, once again, pledging to support Ukraine if they are not in NATO, that we would still stand with them if there's further aggression by Russia?
Well, it might be part of the details, Russia's probably not going to like that either. But they've got to understand Ukraine has been invaded by them, and so they're going to be interested in their own sovereignty and protecting their own people and their own borders, and rightly so. So I think Russia's going to have to be realistic about that. At the same time, I think there are limits to what the United States can do 5,000 miles away from its shores to protect other countries, and Ukraine has to be realistic about that as well.
Do you think that Vladimir Putin is looking for that off-ramp?
I think that we're looking for the off-ramp more than he is, and that's very concerning to me. This hasn't negatively affected his economy. It hasn't negatively affected his political popularity, and so that's not the best. That's not the best negotiating place for the United States of America, for Europe, or for NATO or Ukraine, for that matter. The question is what he does now, and does that imperil the circumstances where he seems to be in a good position right now? These things can turn very, very quickly, and he might not want to gamble with that. He might want to leave while the getting is good, so to speak. We just don't know. I don't know exactly what's in his heart right now or what his ultimate goal is.
Good enough. I want to switch gears. We just got a few minutes left. You chair the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and a subcommittee day on economic development, public buildings, and emergency management. Your committee hearing you held today with the FEMA administrator. What can you tell us about that?
Well, among other things, FEMA is requesting another $100 billion in disaster relief aid money where they've spent it. And of course, Americans are very frustrated when the Department of Homeland Security, which also includes FEMA, is spending billions of dollars on people here illegally, while American citizens can't get federal disaster relief from their own government. That having been said, the response in some of these recent disasters is painfully and unacceptably slow. And furthermore, we found out through FEMA's admission that at least one of their employees, and we're trying to determine if this is a culture associated with this, but they denied or passed over political rivals to the Biden administration in the disaster-affected areas. So if you had a Trump sign in your yard and you just got flooded out, FEMA didn't bother coming to your house, but they went to the house right next to you because it had a Biden-Harris sign. And we're trying to get to the bottom of that story, but FEMA was not very cooperative, in my opinion, as the chairman of the committee, in asking the questions.
Now, one of the employees that was fingered in this has said that they're being treated as the scapegoat, that this is more pervasive within the agency. What did you come away with based upon the testimony of Ms. Criswell, the administrator?
Well, the administrator denies that it's any more than one person, but the administrator also said that they are conducting the investigation, to which I said there should be an independent investigation, because obviously FEMA has every interest in making sure that this story doesn't go further and we don't find out the facts if other people, especially up the chain of command, were involved. And so I've called for an IG investigation, and I got her to agree to request one. So we're going to see if she stands true to that. And then we're going to have an impartial investigation, I hope, to get to the bottom of this, to find out if it was one person that's now being scapegoated, or there was this culture of political retribution within the halls of FEMA, which apparently at some level weaponized their authority over the American people and the people that they didn't agree with politically.
Well, we look forward to seeing the results of that investigation. Hopefully it won't get lost in the transition as a new administration comes in, because those are fundamental issues that the American people deserve to be treated fairly by their own government.
Indeed, and we're going to keep track of it regardless of the transition. We're going to run this to ground until we have the answers.
All right. Congressman Scott Perry, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us today.
Thank you. God bless you.